my God, you guys come in and sit down. We gotta talk about Diddy and what is going on. Do you know Diddy's team is now trying to rewrite the Constitution? They are trying to rewrite words in the dictionary. They are literally pop locking and playing in the court's face. But guess what? Sit down, because we gotta talk about this. They might actually have a slight point. I know. But you guys, we need to talk about every possibility. Now, let me just tell you, okay? Diddy's team is making the ridiculous argument, at least semantics, ridiculous argument that because they never called them prostitutes, right? Then legally, he needs his Mann Act conviction overturned. Now, here's the thing. And if they can prove this, I am going to have to side-eye the prosecution. Because to tell you the truth, they let them use the escorts. They let them use dancers. They let them use entertainers. And as Maureen Comey said in her closing argument, come on, we all knew what this was, okay? And Diddy was found not guilty on sex trafficking. Not guilty on being a perv, being an abuser, being whatever. He actually admitted to that in court, okay? But here's the thing, and I'm going to give you all the whole rundown. There is something on the appeals court. Mind you, only 1 out of 10 appeals cases actually even make it up that far. But Diddy has defied the rules. Now, there is something that says on the appeal that you can't be convicted of something that wasn't clearly named. It can't actually, because here's the thing, Mann Act is transportation over state lines for the purposes of prostituting. However, you must have already had prostituting in mind before you booked the travel. I know it's a narrow margin, but it means something. You need to have the intent before travel was booked. If you booked travel and then y'all got there and y'all had, little baby oil cocktails and all this other stuff, and then you ended up paying them, yes, it's prostituting, but not under the Mann Act. Okay? Now, this is a glaring hole, and I'm wondering how the prosecution left this hole open. Now, hear me out, okay? All hope is not lost. The appeals court could do what we are doing in the court of public opinion and being like, come on, can you be for real, for real? But why is Diddy doing this, aside from literally wanting to escape the consequences of his actions? And for everybody defending Diddy, I'm convinced that only abusers are defending Diddy because they are intent on rewriting history. Okay, fine. He was found not guilty of RICO and sex trafficking. I do not agree with the jury's verdict, okay? I think it was a dumb verdict, dumb decisions, and I think a lot of things, you already know, watch my videos. However, when it comes down to everything, even the things he was found liable of, the things that were without a shadow of a doubt, that dumb jury actually convicted on, he's now trying to get out of it. I don't blame Diddy for doing that. There is a chance that this might work. He's making a couple arguments saying it's unconstitutional. Boy, shut up. That's probably not going to work. But the one thing is, how can you be convicted under the Mann Act, where the Mann Act requires proof of intent that when you booked the travel to bring them over state lines, you were doing it for prostituting? Now, a couple of things can happen from this, okay? Judge Aaron will say, or can't say, listen, I don't care. We were all there. It was implied, and we're going for it. And guess what? I'm sentencing you. And the sentence will stand. Diddy's team is hoping that Judge Aaron says, oh, well, hold on. Wait, it was implied, but implied's not under law. You know what? We're going to have to go for a new trial. Now, if he goes for a new trial, that is not good for the victims. Because I think Diddy's team is hoping for a new trial. Why? Because when it goes to a new trial, all the other information that was let into the original trial, and I will be there for the new trial, all the other things that Diddy admitted to and said, that cannot be brought up in the new trial because it is irrelevant to transporting prostitutes across state lines. Okay? Now, here's another thing. Listen, I'm laying it out here, okay? Because we are at a pivotal point. And I personally think the Judge Aaron is going to be like, and no, you being sentenced. No, I'm rejecting your attempt for a new trial. Then Diddy's team will take it up to the appeal court. Okay? So let's get back to a new trial. Let's just say Judge Aaron says, you know what? You're right. You're getting a new trial, which I don't think is going to happen. In that new trial again, you can only stick to the facts. All the other information that the jury heard will not be heard. That means it will be an open and shut man conviction, which means, and you know what Diddy's playing in people's face, and his lawyers that are so proud that they got the devil free, or at least freer than the devil should be, they'll be able to throw more. And there's a chance that Diddy will not be held accountable, or at the very least, it'll be time served. I don't think Judge Aaron is going for it. Like Judge Aaron said, domestic violence is violence, and violence is a mitigating factor, or an aggregating factor when it comes to sentencing. Now, here's the thing that Diddy's team is hoping. It said that the prosecution is looking for about like 8 years for Diddy. Even with time served, he's going to be doing a nice 5-6 year sentence, okay? Now, if they appeal, there is something where you can appeal to be let out on bail while your appeal is pending. Because here's the thing, even if Diddy appeals, after the judge rejects it, it was usually 1 to 2 years before the appeals court can hear your case. 1 to 2 years before the appeals court usually can hear the case. So even if Diddy gets sentenced and he appeals immediately, it's still going to be in jail. Diddy's team is hoping that if they do not get a new trial, and the new trial they think will go in Diddy's favor, that's why they're asking for it. If they do get a new trial, fine. But if they don't, they're going to appeal the judgment immediately. It might be 1 to 2 years, but they are going to be asked to be let out on bail while or pending appeal. Okay? So the good news is, regardless of what happens, unless Judge Aaron says, fine, I'll give you a new trial, the good thing is, he has about 1 year or 2 years in jail to do before he can actually get out. Whether the appeal works or not, he's looking at least 1 year or 2 more in jail. Now, here's the thing that Diddy's team isn't counting for. See, Diddy got off by that jury. But there's been so much speculation. So many people come out and said the jury got it wrong, saying this was a miscarriage, saying, dare I say, that the prosecution didn't run a stronger case as most people had hoped. I'm not here to retry it. Go watch my old videos. Y'all know how I feel about that. However, is Diddy's team also counting on the fact that, I don't know, maybe in the jury pool, the government's going to be a lot more aggressive about who they pick for that jury pool. A lot more aggressive. The judge is going to tighten up because, and I don't think if a new trial, I don't know if it's under the same judge. I don't know. But I'm sure whatever judge gets it, even if it's still Judge Aaron, they're going to be on their money and making sure that the defense cannot pop lock in their face like they did during the trial. Okay? The jury that's selected is going to have their minds made up about Diddy. As a matter of fact, Diddy might even argue, I can't get a fair trial in New York. Maybe. Why don't you take your ass over to Arkansas? You think you can get a fair trial there? See, here's the thing that Diddy's team is not counting on. Even if you get your wish of a new trial, what if the jury already comes tainted and they already think you suck and that you got away with everything short of murder? And the same way, this current jury looked at the evidence and still said, nah, we don't think so. Is it really distribution? I mean, do we have to read the law that way? Well, baby, that's the same way that this new jury might look at Diddy and his new Man Act convictions. Again, we'll see. We'll see. But at the very least, you have Diddy's playbook. Go for the new trial. If you can't get that new trial, take it up on appeal. Say that they did not even do they didn't in the record sufficiently get it on record the intent of the Mann Act that was required for them to go across state lines. Again, not the fact that Smex ended at the end, but the fact that they had the intent to cross state lines, take it up to appeal. Hopefully, while they're doing an appeal, they can try to get out on bail. If bail is struck down, then they're saying, okay, maybe you might have to do a year or two more, and then you can get out on this technicality. You guys, honestly, I've talked to a lot of legal people. They really have no idea which way they're going. They're saying that all the other arguments that Diddy's team is arguing, you know, that doesn't really matter. But they said the one argument they have in that whole 30-page brief that makes any type of sense or has any type of weight is the fact that the government failed to establish intent. And since the trial record is closed, they cannot go back and say, hey, did you mean what you said? Hey, did you mean when you called them an entertainer? Did you mean escort? When you said you were an entertainer, did you mean prostitute? Right? And let's also not forget about the fact that Cassie, Jane, and all the people that testified in the first trial, they might not be willing to testify again. And if that happens, then Diddy may actually, Anyway, you guys, listen. Legal eagles are on edge about this. Everybody is looking to Judge Aaron to see what he decides. I do think Judge Aaron is going to do the right thing and say, absolutely not. You're not getting a new trial, and they will move forward the sentencing. But after that, it really is going to be up in the air. We will see the way the prosecution responds in their letter to see what they say. Because again, this is Diddy's side giving their side of the story. I was in there. I could have sworn, and I'm telling y'all because I was actually in the courtroom, I could have sworn that and I'm looking through my notes and the transcripts, that one of the prostitutes actually said that they were a prostitute and they were paid for SMEX. But even if that was true, they have to prove that every time they invited them out, the intent was already there for them to end. Again, listen, you guys, I'm looking into this more. I'm waiting for the prosecution's response, waiting for the judge's response. I'll keep you posted. But again, Diddy refuses to be held accountable. The jury refused to hold him accountable. But guess what? Me, you, we're going to hold that mofo accountable. Baby, no. It's time to rise up. The pre-sentencing report is out. Make your voice known in social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, anywhere you can, at the coffee cooler. Make your voice known that Diddy cannot be allowed to walk away from what he did to those women. I don't care if it was sex trafficking or not. The way he treated other human beings, he should not be able to skate without any consequences to the actions, because his dirtbag, sleazebag abuses, wearing too tight hats, literally washed up 60, 70-year-old wannabe journalists, washed up, living in the car. They cannot be allowed to think that this is the way that you can approach life. But that's just me. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.